This is CES MMA.
All right, Scott, welcome back to Twin River Casino. We're here for Path of Destruction. Ralph Johnson's ring entrance almost as long as his layoff. Scott, it's been since July of 2011 since Ralph Johnson's fought, but he is a familiar face on this scene. 5 wins, all by knockout. What do you know about Ralph? What can you tell us?
Ralph's a very experienced fighter. He had, I think he's 5-4, and more than anything else, he's been in with some really tough guys. If he took some time off, I'm not quite sure if the reason was an injury or personal, but it's one of two things. Either you'll have a little ring rust, or he'll be just happy to be back in there.
Well, I do know one thing. Ralph Johnson's dabbled into pro boxing for a bit, so that did absorb some of his time. But he took this fight on real short notice. He's going to be fighting what we all hear is a real rising star, possibly in the lightweight division, in Keenan Raymond, fighting out of Team Rockstar, the Ruckus Fighting Academy. You're familiar with all of those fighters. In fact, we all are familiar with the Team Ruckus fighting style. What do you expect from Keenan Raymond tonight in his debut?
Keenan is a judo practitioner and a very good one. And if you'll watch you'll see the height difference. Ralph's a very tall 55er, and you'll see that the judo come out when in the clinch. You'll see the quick hip tosses and a quick takedown by Keenan. That's what I expect to see.
The height differential is going to be a big factor, Scott. Ralph Johnson well over 6 feet, Keenan Raymond well under 6, and you saw that in the weigh-in photos, the stare down between the two. Keenan Raymond just looking up at his taller opponent.
Well, Keenan was staring directly into Ralph's chest. And I mean,
he got a bird's eye view, and he'll get one as soon as he gets inside the cage tonight. Now, one thing about Raymond, this is actually a tough fight for a debut. He was originally supposed to fight Jay Bakanowski, who's 1-1, only 2 pro fights under his belt. This is kind of an upgrade for Raymond.
Well, to a degree. Jay Bakanowski, to his credit, well, a lot of people don't realize it, he's a standout wrestler from BU, also the BU wrestling coach, as well as a Golden Gloves boxer. One of the guys I trained fought Jay recently, and Jay's a very tough opponent. Now, you could say that it's a step up in competition, and I would agree with you 100%, Mike. The difference is the time off for Ralph. I would like to see Ralph establish that distance. He's been boxing. He should have a better understanding of his feet and his range, and maybe try to keep Keenan that far off where the judo doesn't come into play.
Well, here you see Keenan Raymond, Greg Ribs Rebello walking him to the cage. Just to be exact, the height differential, Ralph Johnson 6'5", Keenan Raymond 5'6". If my math is correct, that's almost a foot between the two of them. I doubt you'll see any other differential like that on this card, or really anywhere else tonight.
Well, let's see if it comes into play. Sometimes a smaller fighter, this plays right into them where the taller fighter wants to stay on the outside, and a smaller fighter like Keenan might be more aggressive trying to work his way in. On the flip side of that, maybe Ralph wants to keep him on the outside and just pepper him with that jab and set him up for some big shots. It'll make for a fun fight. The first 30, 40 seconds, we'll see each other's game plan pretty quickly.
Case in point, Rob Font versus Saul Almeida in February. The shorter Rob Font took it to Saul Almeida. You're going to see Font again later on tonight.
Yeah.
But that shorter fighter may not always be at the disadvantage, so we'll see how it does play out. Keenan Raymond getting some last-minute instruction. Keith Jeffrey from Triforce in his corner. We mentioned Greg Rebello. Take a look here at the tail of the tape. Keenan Raymond again in his pro debut. This fight was bumped up to 170 to accommodate the last-minute switch, so he came in at 168.5. And veteran Ralph Johnson coming in at 169, fighting out of Worcester, Mass. Let's set it down to Bill Carpenter for the official introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Patron Tequila bout, scheduled for 3 5-minute rounds in the cage in the lightweight division. Your referee for this contest is Dan Mergliotta. Introducing to my right, fighting out of the blue corner, he weighed in at 169 pounds. His professional record shows 5 wins with 4 losses, all 5 wins coming by way of knockout. This independent fighter hails from Worcester, Massachusetts, introducing Ralph Johnson. Across the cage to my left, fighting out of the red corner, and weighing in at 168.5 pounds, this fighter is making his professional debut, representing Ruckus Fighting Academy and fighting out of Providence, Rhode Island. Please welcome Keenan Raymond. 3 5-minute rounds in the cage, lightweights.
All right, Raymond in the black trunks, Ralph Johnson in the camouflage. We're about ready to go in this opening bout of Path of Destruction. Ralph Johnson's only gone the distance once in his 9 fights, so there's a good chance that somebody is getting stopped or submitted in this one.
Well, you can see where Ralph is staying on the outside. He's not pressing too much. So maybe I think that what we talked about earlier, establish that jab, find your distance.
You mentioned Keenan Raymond and his judo expertise. I talked to Greg Rebello before the fight, and he mentioned that his judo is on another level, up there with anybody he has worked with.
That says a lot too. Rebello's worked with, you know, Rick Hahn.
By comparison, so it's some lofty expectations set for Keenan Raymond tonight in his debut.
You see Keenan's having a really tough time closing this distance. He's doing a smart thing and switching his stance a little bit and trying to keep Ralph off balance, and also changing his height where he really doesn't have to get much lower, but he's doing so to avoid some punches. And here you see Ralph came in for a combination where Keenan just kind of let him come in to him to close the distance.
Almost caught him with a knee on the way up. That's one of the advantages, again, to being the tall fighter.
His foot's going to come 6 inches off the ground. The knee's going to hit him in the face.
Punch you in.
Ralph with a nice crossface. Nice takedown by Keenan.
This is where Raymond likes to go to work. 3:30 to go in round number 1. First takedown of the fight.
Well, Keenan's already in half guard. Good position here. He'll be happy to keep Ralph in this if he can put some damage to him. What you have to look out for when you're with an incredibly tall fighter who's on his back is the length of those legs and arms. It's like Spider-Man. You don't think he can reach you from that distance, but yet he can. Keenan taking his time, just trying to readjust his position.
And there's a lot of time left in this round 2, Scott, over 3 minutes.
And don't forget, both fighters are relatively dry right now, so submissions can happen. Ralph has a small nick from this transition above his right eye.
Here we go. You got to stay busy, Keenan.
You hear Rebello yell from the corner to stay busy.
It's very true. You don't want to get stood up when you have a dominant position like this, especially you see how he works so hard to close that distance. Ralph doing the best he can to scramble and get up. And there's the strength of the judo. You know, it doesn't translate from the knees judo, you wouldn't think, but it's balanced. The way you use your hips, the strength in your hips, that really made that re-engaging that takedown happen.
2:25 to go in the opening round. Raymond scored the first takedown.
He's maintaining good position as well.
It's safe to say Ralph Johnson's never really been at his best in this spot, Scott. He's more of a striker.
Yep.
We've seen him in the past when he's been taken down, unable to get back up. So far right now, not panicking yet. I've seen him panic in the past in this spot, but not right now.
You're going to see now that the small aspects of panic is setting in. Ralph did a great job to switch to get up. Fantastic job. Now he actually looks a little pissed off right now.
We'll see if he does something about it. Under 2 minutes to go in this opening round.
Nice left hook there by Ralph.
Raymond going right for the leg.
Yeah, he's got the single one, a smart move. He jumped up with the knee, tried a second one. And you see Ralph looking for the guillotine here. Nice step over trip by Keenan. Short elbows. Now he's paying attention to his corner.
There you go. You're going to start doing some damage. Now you're awake, Keenan. Now you're nice. 120. 120 to work.
We'll see if Raymond can heed the advice of his corner to start doing some damage in this spot. Failed to do so last time. Johnson got back to his feet. Now he's got a second opportunity.
Well, I think he's just listened to his corner, and he stopped throwing wide punches from the ground, from the top, and he started short elbows, and that's going to create some space. Ralph's not going to like that very much. If you look, Ralph's got a closed half guard he's trying to maintain. Now he opens it as I say that. But he's also not doing anything off his back. He's not attacking a submission. He's not throwing strikes. He's pretty passive on the ground right now. Another short elbow by Keenan.
Either way, it works in Raymond's favor. He's got the 2 takedowns. He's been in control for most of the round.
I'd have to agree with you.
30 seconds to go.
And this is where taking a fight on short notice, you worry about your conditioning. This goes to a second round. Will Ralph have much left? Great scramble. Keenan tried to take his back, and it looks like Ralph is just a little too tall for that.
Series of good lefts and rights by Raymond. In the process, Johnson got back up, but now he's down again.
What a fantastic move, though. That's is not to trip him. He just kept circling him and circling with a pull, and eventually kind of whipped him to the ground.
Closing seconds of round number 1. Keenan Raymond off to a good start in his debut.
He's stepping over, trying to get mount here, and he gets it right at the belt.
You definitely see that frustration on the face of Ralph Johnson as he walks back to his corner.
Yep. Really deep breath, struggling to breathe right now.
And again, he took this fight on such short notice that he probably isn't in the best conditioning. He definitely looks the part coming into tonight, but the difference in looking at and actually being in shape, that's a huge difference.
And base out and take your shots. Pick one, pick the other. You don't have to finish this right away. You hit him in the mouth. I told you. Okay? Whatever you look.
Keenan's getting some great advice right now from his corner. Tell him to slow down, take it easy, breathe. It's all right there for you.
Short elbow on the ground. Still good. Nice and warm. Now you know what you got to do. Have some fun out there, man. All right? Having fun. Come on. Go,
Boxing coach Dave Keefe telling him to have some fun.
Name of the game, man. Unless this is paying your bills full time, you're in here because you love it. And he kind of breaks some anxiety and takes some stress off and say, have fun.
Okay, round 2, you ready? Let's go fight.
Round number 2, Ralph Johnson in the camouflage, Keenan Raymond in the black and red. And of course, when you do come in your pro debut, you might be a little tense early on. And it's good that someone in your corner can remind you to enjoy yourself and just absorb the atmosphere and soak up the moment.
That's what a good corner's for, Mike. You've seen it in plenty. You've seen bad corners. We've seen some horrendous corners, too. And it just goes to prove when you know what you're doing, you can really help your fighter quite a bit. You can see how much more relaxed Keenan is at the moment, just from his corner getting in his ear about it.
We've definitely seen the best of the best and the worst of the worst.
Yeah,
from cornermen not stopping cuts.
Not even doing cuts.
Not even doing cuts.
Congratulations there, Team Alpha Male.
Tonight, what you see with Triforce, and of course the experience of the Jeffrey brothers and Dave Keefe, one of the best boxing coaches in this area. And a lot of fighters will swear by him, and you see the results when they're in that cage.
He's doing some great stuff with MMA, guys.
Nice short right by Johnson, a little right hook to the body, catching Keenan on the way around.
I don't like the way Keenan turns and almost runs away. I think he's leaving himself open. I would have, if I was coaching Ralph, I'd let him throw the rear leg there a little longer. Nice right hand, step in right hand. If you notice, Keenan waited for Ralph to come in for that. Keenan shoots right underneath the jab, looking for that single. Ralph tried the jumping knee again and kind of put himself on his back from it.
That can certainly work to your disadvantage. Once both feet are off the ground, it gives the opponent leverage for
I don't know if Ralph was trying to kick him from the ground.
Looks like he was a few times that right leg.
It's illegal because Keenan had somebody down. I think Dan must have thought he was just trying to get a sweep out of it. Now that Keenan has mount, so long as he's 3 minutes left in the round, he takes his time. He's going to find a good position and lay some ground and pound down.
Now, much like round 1, Raymond gets the takedown early, and like you said, has a lot of time.
Here's where you want to flatten your opponent out and really drain these punches. We can hear them.
Big right hands from Keenan Raymond to the side of the temple.
Those are hurting as well. Those are really landing.
Johnson's definitely feeling those. Under 3 minutes to go in this round.
He actually looked, Keenan was looking for an Americana there, but his right arm's trapped around Ralph's head, so he won't hit the Americana from that. He has to remove his hand from behind his head and bring it on the other side. Nice elbow.
Johnson just covering up at this point.
Now, if Keenan can stay busy, I agree with his corner. Just put it on him. He doesn't look like he wants to fight back right now. Again, this is what happens on a short notice fight. There's your rear naked choke, and that's it.
And just as you predicted, this one comes to a close with 2:14 to go in round number 2. Keenan Raymond, a winner in his pro debut. Very impressive start for Raymond.
Yeah, it really was. And, you know, credit to Ralph for taking the fight on short notice. It's very hard to do it. You really put yourself behind the 8 ball with something like that. But Keenan was composed. He seemed to have fought his game plan very well. He had a very experienced corner, and he came out on top. It was a nice fight.
Really just overwhelmed Johnson toward the end. Those elbows, finally mixing in the elbows that you called for in round number 1, and then heeding the advice from his corner as well. We're going to take a look at just how this one went down.
This is where Keenan has his back, has Ralph's back, and sunk that rear naked choke in right away.
Ironically, it was a rear naked choke in the end. I thought the blows would be the brunt of the damage, but he gets it in quickly enough, and I think Johnson may have just been looking for a way out at that point.
Not to mention the fact that when you have your opponent back mounted, your hooks are in, you're driving your hips into his back. That in itself is painful, and that's what causes your chin to come up, and that's why I think Keenan was able to get so deep so quickly on that.
Well, a game effort by Ralph Johnson, nonetheless, taking the fight on short notice, but it's the victory for Raymond. Let's send it down to our cage side announcer, Bill Carpenter, for the particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, the bout comes to an end at 2 minutes, 44 seconds of round number 2. In his pro debut, your winner by a rear naked choke submission, Keenan Raymond.